What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, so today's topic. Hey, man, I was listening to the Q&A show, and, there was something that came up, and I wanted to discuss it because I think it's a pretty cool perspective that can get shared by a guy that coached there as an intern over the season, and he got to see the way some of the personalities played out. And, one of the things he kind of talked about was the way that Darius Slay prepped Quez Watkins to become a professional and the things that he did inside of practice to kind of get him there. And, there's kind of a couple of funny moments that where you could see that the way that Quentin Michael perceived the personality of Darius Slay was different from the reality of what Jason Avant saw.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Darius Slay is the mouth of the South, baby. He gonna tell you how he feels.
Is he? See, he don't seem like he talked that much.
Like he would.
And then, you can hear the in and outs of it to where, you got this veteran guy in Darius Slay who, by all means, he doesn't have to be that guy. He doesn't have to be the dude that pushes these young receivers. It's a separate position group, but it's in his DNA, and it's clear to see that's just who he is as a person. And, he's over here giving, Quez Watkins the business. He's telling him, like, you're supposed to be mimicking Terry McLaurin. You don't look like Terry McLaurin to me. You certainly don't run like Terry McLaurin.
You know what helped him is Darius Slay. Took him under his wing, beat him up every day in practice. Man, you're supposed to be Terry McLaurin. You're not giving me a look. And you're supposed to be, DK Metcalf.
You're supposed to be DK Metcalf. I don't see no DK coming out of you. I mean, I love to hear these little stories where you see guys getting pressed by the veteran guys like that. And let's be real, by the time that Quez got his opportunity, Quez did pretty good in those moments, right? I mean, he was definitely ready to step up and to take the challenge on, headstrong, right? He was just ready to, like, give me the ball and let's see what I can do with it. And I think a lot of that is owed pretty much to Darius Slay, guys. I mean, I think that's a pretty interesting piece that came out from Jason Avant's mouth, just kind of talking about the way that this guy is in practice. And, that kind of makes you feel good about a young nucleus, a young team coming in here that, we might be shedding some of the age on this roster, but some of the guys we are keeping, the guys that we do have on roster, like a Darius Slay, they may not be the vocal leader necessarily on the field, but they're vocal leaders when it comes to the practices, right? They're vocal leaders in terms of, like, the way that they can build relationship with players, right? Even on opposing position groups, to where when you're on one-on-ones, it's a battle. Like, these guys they're out there fighting with each other, man. Like, that's a battle on one-on-one. And, like, I mean, to me, that's a really, really good look for the organization going forward. Now, one thing he did say that I thought was really interesting is that he gave his perspective on what he would like to see the Eagles do at the cornerback position kind of going forward. And he said that, pairing a guy like Darius Slay, he's not the biggest guy, right? He's not the biggest framed guy in terms of, like, the weight. He's taller for a corner, and he's like 6-footish. I mean, he's okay in terms of the height perspective of it, but he's more of an, he can play some man, but he's more of an off kind of corner that can make you pay for mistakes. And one of the things that was brought up by Jason Avant, and I'd really, love to hear a lot of people's perspective on this that have played and coached in the area before, that he thinks that you pair this guy with a dominant man corner to play alongside of that kind of zone guy, and you could see a lot. Now, I will say this. I probably would counter back with, how much of mixed coverage do we really see? I don't know that you see a lot of mixed coverage run in the NFL anymore. There was a small window of time where I thought I saw, definitely an upward trend of seeing some of that mixed coverages. I thought that, especially when you were, like, really breaking down, Chris Richard's film over there in Dallas, like, I saw them doing a lot of mixed coverages, but it seems to kind of faded away last season particularly. Now, that might have to do with just trying to install the defense and the offensive playbooks and having that season to where the offseason is limited. Maybe that hampered people being able to do that kind of thing. It's hard to really predict what the actual, like, effect is of such a thing. Like, it's hard to know those things. What I will say is that one of the guys that's rising on draft boards, and this is a guy that it's funny because like I've had a couple of you guys hit me up about him, but Stokes out of Georgia, he's a bigger guy, and this guy can run. I mean, he ran in what was it, the 4.3 guys? I think he ran in. Like he's definitely more athletic than what it looked like. Now I will say that when you put pads on him and you watched him in games, I definitely don't know that I saw that type of game speed from him, and that's something that like I need to look at. I need to really pay attention to the matchups he had. I need to pay attention to the systems that were being run. So like I'm not going to make any kind of predetermined determination about a player right now, guys. Like I need to see Eric Stokes and like the full setting to judge what's going here, and I'll do that when I get into like the film breakdowns of these guys. So I mean, it's interesting, guys. It's definitely an interesting perspective to see a guy that says like, hey, like I was around the team. And I got to tell you, like my gut feeling here is if you can get a guy that's more of a man type to play and complement a Darius Slay who's more of an off corner type, it could get really interesting in that room. This is going to be like such a weird turnaround, guys, for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be difficult to really predict or project what the season's going to look like, how good this team's going to be, right? There's so many competing factors to try to narrow down and say, like, if the team will be good or not, right? On one hand, we're playing a last place schedule that normally votes well for a team to bounce back. When you play a last place schedule, it gives you an opportunity to win some games. On the other hand, I really love the scheme that I think Nick Sirianni's going to bring. If he's bringing more of what they did in Indianapolis to Philadelphia, I definitely love that scheme. But we've never seen it operated here. We've never seen Nick Sirianni as the primary play caller. Like, there's a lot of unknowns there, but I do love the scheme that I think is coming here. So that's intrigue. It's how good can Nick Sirianni be, right? Brian Johnson is a sneaky good hire. You guys know that I was really over the top for Aaron Moorhead when they hired him last year, and I was like, I think we finally solved this wide receiver coach issue. And I know that some people are like, man, the wide receivers just didn't play as good as they should have, though. And it's like, yeah, there's multiple contributing factors there. I don't think it was a coaching issue this time around. Like the year prior, there was definitely a coaching issue. This past year, I didn't see a coaching issue going on here. So, I mean, I was really high on Aaron Moorhead, and he did get retained. And Brian Johnson is the guy this year that, like, I really love that system in Florida. He was the quarterback coach, and he was the offensive coordinator there. I know we can make the argument that it was Mullen's system. But, man, I really love that system, and I love what he did with Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask was an inexperienced quarterback, guys. He backed up De'Aaron King in high school. The dude only started, like, his freshman year. Like, he's not a very experienced quarterback, and when he got his opportunity, shout out to Brian Johnson for really developing that guy. And I think there's hope here that, the guy can bring elements of that system to Philadelphia with Nick Sirianni and give him some ideas. He's not going to be the main install guy, but he can give ideas about install. And I just love what he's done with quarterbacks, man, from Dak Prescott to De'Aaron King when he was at Houston to what we just saw this past year with Kyle Trask. Like, if you can hit a home run here, guys, it could get interesting for the season. And then the last part would be it's going to be the play of Jalen Hurts and the young receivers, right? I think there's a lot of talent in the wide receiver room. I think some of these guys are being slept on about how good they are. I think it was a very unideal situation they stepped into last year. And I think some of them suffered as a result of it. And I think some of them suffered because they didn't make a very good adjustment to the pro game. And I think you heard these guys, Jason Avant and Quentin Michael talk about that, about some of the adjustments they failed to make from that college level play that they had to the NFL, and why they think that seeing that now and understanding that is going to lead to a much greater production from these guys. I think going past that, guys, like it's going to be, I talk about Brian Johnson. Can Brian Johnson get Jalen Hurts to make faster decisions, right? I said I actually really liked Jalen Hurts' accuracy. I know they only completed 52% of his passes. I know that he had the lowest, on target rate in the NFL if he had qualified. And I know that he had the highest bad throw rate. But I'm saying there's complexity to what was going on. And when you really looked at just the strip it all away and let's just look at the ball he's throwing, is it a catchable ball? I think he did a good job, man. I think it's all in the processing. He's got to be a better processor. And if you can get Brian Johnson to fit and marriage this scheme with Jalen Hurts becoming that guy, and he hasn't He was that guy early in Alabama, right? Alabama has more of a quick sped up system. And he did get the ball out of his hands a lot faster at Alabama, but to be fair, that was also probably his least productive years. With that said, he's at least, he kind of has to have some idea of how they operate, how these systems operate, and what it means to do that. It's just a matter of can Brian Johnson get this guy coached up? And we got a lot of guys in the room who have coached quarterbacks. They're primarily wide receiver guys, but they've all kind of coached quarterbacks too. And, you know, I'm excited to see what happens here, guys, because I really do think we have an opportunity to potentially hit it out of the park. And having veteran guys like Darius Slay step up and coach young receivers, like give them the business, treat them like they're really equals and treat them like they're professionals and say, hey, man, you're not acting like Terry McLaurin. How about you actually give me something to practice against? Like, I respect it, man. I respect it, and I think it's a positive outlook for the season. All right, guys, that's what I got for y'all. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee. The link is in the description below. While I'm saying this, Mark, my guy Mark, donated. I want to thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you giving me that 5 cups of coffee, my guy. Trust me, it'll go to good use. I'll definitely use it. For everybody else, guys, I'll try to start bringing up, so I know that I'm getting busy, guys, and I'm not always getting to your comments. I'll start trying to bring up comments in the videos and kind of address them in the videos here and there, okay? I may even just do a Q&A day, right? A question and answer day. Not stealing the Q&A model from Inside the Birds, but like a question and answer kind of like day for questions here again. So, all right, guys, peace. I'm out of here, and I'll see y'all on the next video.